Hey, what's up, guys? Drake Garibay here for GaribayComputer.com. Welcome back to another tech tip of the week. Today I'm going to be discussing NVIDIA's new GeForce GTX 970 graphics cards and how well they work with Adobe Premiere Pro CC and Adobe After Effects CC. Now, maybe you're a video editor or you're a visual effects artist, you work heavily in these applications, and you're debating whether or not to buy this GTX 970 because you've been hearing that it doesn't work right, it's incompatible, there's errors with it, the GPU is not being utilized. Well, folks, I'm here today to tell you firsthand and to show you firsthand that this card works beautifully. There are a few minor limitations to the card, but I have the workarounds for it, so it's not going to slow you down a bit. Just a couple of small but important things I want to point out before we jump into the testing. First and foremost, make sure you have the latest and greatest driver for your graphics card. You can grab that directly from nVIDIA's website. Secondly, make sure your Adobe CC software is fully up to date. For me, I'm running Premiere Pro version 8.2.0, and the After Effects version I'm running is version 13.2.0.49. As long as you have the latest graphics driver and your Adobe CC software is fully up to date, the softwares will automatically detect your GPU. You should not have to edit any type of supported cards, CUDA list, or anything like that. It should automatically be detected. And just in case you didn't know, the easiest way to update your Adobe softwares is simply to go to the Help menu, drop down to Updates. Alright, so with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the bread and butter of this video and get this GPU tested out once and for all. Now here I am in Premiere Pro CC. We're going to use this to test first. And I have my 10-second HD 1080p clip here with a CPU intensive effect applied to the clip. I'm using the Gaussian blur at a blurriness level of 20. And what I'm going to do is go to File, Project Settings, General. I'm going to make sure that software only is enabled because I want this test to be specifically on the CPU. We're going to get the render time from using the CPU only, and then we're going to compare it to the render time using the GPU. I'm going to go ahead and click on the destination, send it to the desktop. I'm going to go ahead and call this CPU test 1 because we are using the CPU to render this out. Click save. We're going to go ahead and click the play button. That's going to begin the render process. Alright, estimated time remaining is about 1 minute and 10 seconds. If we look over at our GPU Z, we can see the GPU load is hovering at about 2 to 4%. Not really even moving. Just to further prove it's not hardly touching my GPU at all. And my temps are getting very high because I am taxing my CPU right now, and this is an overclocked CPU, and the ambient cooling in this office is terrible. Alright, so we're going on 1 minute and about, I'm gonna guess, 25 seconds to render a 10-second clip. Click on this done link, and if we scroll down, it'll show me my last render job, and we're looking for the encoding time. 1 minute and 18 seconds it took. Now what we're going to do is render that same clip, but we're going to utilize the GPU this time. Whoops, I want to go back to File, Project Settings, General. Okay, we're going to click the Playback Engine GPU acceleration. Now we're telling the software to use our graphics card, to utilize our GPU. I'm going to output this back to the desktop, and we're going to call this GPU test 1. Desktop, save. I want to click this drop down here and make sure it's set to GPU acceleration. And we're off. And look at that, folks. It is just ripping through it. And my temperatures aren't getting nearly as high. Check out my GPU load. It jumped up to 15%. Clearly using my GPU. And keeping my temperatures down because the load is not sitting on my processor anymore. Look how much of that load this GPU is carrying. Okay, we're going on 20 9 seconds, and we're just ripping through this. 31, I'm going to guess 43. Oh, 36 seconds. So, yes, the GPU is utilized. You can use it. It's great. It's fast. You saw how quickly it ripped through that little 10-second clip. Of course, this is on a very small scale. The clip was only 10 seconds, but I assure you it works. If you're doing longer renders, just think about how much more time you'll be saving. That's fantastic. It does use the GPU. Now, I do want to point one thing out to you. This is a very important key piece of information. The reason why you saw that GPU load jump up, you saw that it was ripping through that render, is because I had a GPU accelerated effect applied to my clip. Folks, I can't stress this enough. That is the key here. You have to use an accelerated effect to see any benefit. And what you can do is go to your effects panel, click this guy right here, accelerated effects. It'll show you all your accelerated effects. Any of these effects that have this symbol next to it, these are all accelerated effects. So if you use a lot of accelerated effects, more power to you. You are going to be able to utilize your GPU. Probably in the future, I'm sure Adobe's working on making pretty much every effect GPU accelerated, but yeah, at this time, no, not every effect is GPU accelerated. So you cannot reap the benefits. So in addition to the faster render times, you're also going to see a faster, more fluid timeline. When you're scrubbing the timeline, the GTX 970 is going to help accelerate that. Even when you have a lot of effects applied to different clips, I've noticed that it's a lot more fluid when you're scrubbing the timeline, less choppy, and it's really cool. Two major benefits you're going to see with the GTX 970. Can't go wrong with it. I had absolutely no issues with the GTX 970 in Premiere Pro. Worked solid, worked like a champ. Alright guys, let's go ahead and jump into After Effects CC and see how well the GTX 970 performs. Now I was going to include the test renders, but I decided not to because it was kind of pointless. When I did the same exact render test as you saw in Premiere Pro, it was literally about a 2-second difference between rendering with the CPU and rendering with the GPU, with the GPU being about 2 seconds faster. This just goes to show you that After Effects is run on a different render engine than Premiere Pro. It does not use accelerated effects, it does not take advantage of your graphics card, and it relies more heavily on your CPU, your hard drive, and your RAM. Now, other than working with 3D inside of After Effects, you're not going to see a whole lot of benefit of using a high-end graphics card, aside from maybe a smoother scrubbing timeline and faster previews. Now, the one exception to that rule is if you're working with 3D and After Effects, you will be able to take advantage of your GPU. However, if you plan on using the Raytraced 3D render engine, you will run into errors and issues if you're using any of the cards from the GTX 900 series. And that's actually not a problem at all because Adobe has introduced a far more superior way of working with 3D inside of After Effects, as well as a very powerful plugin you can use from Video Copilot to work with all your 3D needs inside of After Effects. I'm going to go over those solutions now. Alright, let's get rid of this clip. I'm going to go ahead and add in a text layer, test. And what I want to do is toggle my switches. We're going to enable the 3D. Look at that. There you go. I was able to replicate the issue. After Effects Raytraced 3D initial shader compile failed. This is the error the infamous error that all of us 900 GTX series users are seeing. And the workaround is to use the more professional new way to do it that Adobe is offering, and that is using the integrated Cinema 4D plugin. It's called Cineware. So let's go ahead and I have a new composition here. I'm going to go to Layer, New, Maxon Cinema 4D file. It'll ask you where to save it. I'm just going to put it on the desktop for now. Untitled's fine. Save. This is pretty much how Adobe is wanting you to deal with 3D now. This is their new intuitive way. It's much more powerful than Raytraced 3D. You're getting access to a fully true 3D program that is integrated into After Effects. So it opens up Cinema 4D. In my case, it's the one that comes bundled, which is the light version. And let's say, for example, I wanted to create a cube. So there's my cube, and I can scale it up. And then once I'm done doing my lighting, my texturing, whatever it is you want to do with your 3D model, simply hit File, Save, and then File, Quit, and voila, it updates inside your After Effects comp. Now this is a much more powerful way to deal with 3D than the ray tracing. And let's see, we can change this to standard draft and get rid of those lines. And then if we want to make changes to this, you simply go to File, or you go to Edit and then Edit Original. It'll reopen Cinema 4D, and then we can size it back down to like a flat plane. Control S to save it again, File, Quit, and just like that it updates inside After Effects. So that, like I said, can't stress enough, that's the more professional way to deal with 3D. My advice is get used to it, go with it, and get rid of the Raytraced 3D, honestly, because this is the new stage of working with 3D and After Effects. Now, if you are not a huge fan of the Cineware plugin for whatever reason, well, you have one other option that I know of, and this is to utilize the fantastic, amazing plugin by Andrew Kramer and the Video Copilot team, and it's called Element 3D. Let me show you how that works really quick. So I'm going to create a new solid, and I'm going to add Element 3D to it, Video Copilot Element. And what I'm going to do is use it to make this text 3D, for example. This plugin is so powerful, it's so light, fast, it's easy to use. You can do pretty much, it'll handle pretty much all your 3D modeling or 3D needs aside from the modeling. You cannot really model in it. You can scale in it. You can get away with so much in this program as far as 3D goes. But for example, I'm going to just make this text 3D. I'll show you how easy it is. So I just chose a custom layer, my test layer, and we're going to go ahead and shut this off now. Go to Scene Setup. First thing I'm going to do is hit Extrude now. As you can see, there's my 3D text. Let's just jump into a preset and add it. Look how beautiful that 3D text is. That easy, that quick. Click OK. All you need to do is add a camera to your scene, and this will let you rotate around this 3D text. And I don't know about you, but to me this sure as hell beats the hell out of ray tracing 3D. So these are two fantastic, superior solutions to the ray trace 3D problem inside of After Effects. Go pick up this plugin from Video Copilot. It's definitely worth every penny. Help those guys out. It's an amazing plugin. Or if not, just stick with the true 3D program that comes bundled with After Effects CC, and you literally cannot go wrong. That's going to wrap up this tech tip of the week. Any questions or comments, leave in the comment section below. I'll do my best to help you out. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope this clears up a lot of confusion going around about the GTX 970.